When they were in need, I provided them with food and shelter. Not saying they couldn't acquire it, but they were aware of their circumstances. You know, what exactly do I mean? They were kicked and schooled out. You mentioned that both of them were kicked out. Both of them were kicked out, and you provided them with food and shelter. How did you have enough money to cover your food and shelter? Okay, I learned how to do it. What are you talking about? Man. They came to Livy. Am working on a project in my grandmother's house? In your grandmother's home. Oh, but she'd left. Has passed gone, so you get the entire apartment to yourself? They come, but you still have to pay rent. Yes, I have paid the rent. I paid for the love rent. That was the Mase manager. I used to hustle. I've always been a hustler. You were on the streets. I know how to make money. Why are we heading to Joe's home? I received the news you did. Hey, do you want to come through? Please come through. So certainly, I'd bring some over there sometime, perhaps. How much do you credit yourself with? Cam, have you been successful? I credit a lot to Cam, but I also credit a lot to us, because, behind closed doors, it was we who placed him in that position. You were Afon, you begged. You are a fan. _a fan. I mean, he was doing music for a long time and all, but was a vital point, where before he got signed. Those 2 years were incredibly significant to all that we worked together. Cam's quest to becoming himself. Do you recall how we met? Pause, it was not met. How did you become comfortable with us? Essentially, you heard us freestyle. Hey guy, I listened to the freestyle. You guys are killing. It wasn't occasions when Cam had to do what he needed to do to make $1 and things like that. But from the beginning, I had to make $1 because I was constantly on my own. I've raised my entire family since I was an adolescent. Too used to hustle to get my mom's money. Have you heard? My first employment in this stuff. Do you see what I mean when I say I was a camp hype man? But I began as a camp buddy. We fully committed to this mission. I knew what my job entailed. He knew it was a job. What exactly was your job? My occupation was to ensure that nothing occurred to that individual when he was attempting to be successful. I knew that if he was successful, he would turn around and make him successful. And that is exactly what occurred. You were not present, man. You weren't present. You were fanned. You're begging to come to your place after listening to all these mixtapes. That is how you got in. Today is an exceedingly happy day for me. I'm incredibly happy of my accomplishments, who I have become, what I have overcome, and what I am capable of. Mase truly taught you to rap. Literally. He showed you how to rap. Mase showed me how to rap. You say it. Whenever I conduct interviews, I am quite honest with myself. Do you know what I mean? As if I am familiar with the entire playing field. What taught you how to rap? How you managed the entire organization. People have painted a picture of me as if I'm from the bottom with nothing. I've been on trains since I was 8 and 9 years old. I've been telling people about this for years, as if I'm an actual abnormality. In New York City, I feel different. I was a man long before I should have been. Be a man. Leave right now. How do you became a diplomat? Yeah, you didn't make any of this. You was a fan. So you could sit around and act like you've been around all of Harlem _ and a very thing. Have you ever seen anybody from Harlem try to act like they are from Harlem? So horrible that you have to continually telling me I am from Harlem. From Harlem? No, who's from Harlem? You do not have to constantly stating you are from Harlem. What do you think Cam will do? You think he's going to sit there, and you think he's going to Jim Ryan first. Well, technically, Cam and 50 said what they were discussing. That is what Jim heard. He returned and stated it. What do you think Cam is going to do now that you are mothering him? Cam is lyricist. He will make you feel stupid in whatever way he can. Possible. If he basically says to kick you in the nuts. Do you see what I mean? I am going to rip your heart out. Remember the old school, when they were doing electric boogie and grabbed the _ by the heart they just had in their brain bit. The threw it stomped on the vats. That's what you're going to hear. Basically, they were going back and forth after that. As I mentioned, it turned to the money, which is the whole point of thy Absolutely, he is going to say Jim is from the Bronx. Everybody else on the side of your group of be like, yeah, the peanut gallery. They are going to make up all of this _ to ensure that turn the peanuts into peanut butter and then whisk it into something else to make it all a whole lot different than my _ will talk about your feet and all that. You understand what I'm saying? So, simply to like it. Alright. Yeah, that doesn't mean that everyone who's from Harlem has family in the Bronx. Everyone's got kinfolk in the Bronx. Residents have kinfolk in Harlem. Yeah, Jim Izzy traveled from the Bronx to Harlem. You understand what I'm saying? But the point is that you must understand the war. It's similar to battling. As Jim described, it's really similar to rap. Like rapping. Jim, whatever, but they weren't. They were on platforms, and Jim said what he did. Jim, I suppose he mentioned something about inviting him to his Emmy said they're both on my right. That is something serious, as if you hear something you enjoy. Like it's at S, as if Jim caught a bar. Oh, do you Jim considered a Harlem guy or not? Jim basically stayed with Killer for Emmy Newt. You understand what I'm saying? Cam, you already understand Jim and Cam had family in 1199. And they both had family members. It's over there. So that's how that relationship went, as far as everyone was present during the bloodshed. So, there was the connection in terms of being on 1st Avenue. 1 Avenue. They erected these condos named 1199. And Cam had family over there. Jim we had family over. So when Cam, Digger and Bloodshed was rolling, Jim was able to create that link since Cam was heading to 1st and Jim had relations on 1st. Thus, do you understand what I am saying? At an extremely young age. We were teenagers, 14, 15, 16, or somewhere in that range. You know. What am I saying? Is the rapping becoming more popular? Are you getting what I'm saying, Mase, with all that going on yet, or are they still on their way? So, I'm not going to sit here and do discography, my brother. It's a little overwhelming for me. I mean, you aren't paying enough for that. So, if you got any more questions you want to ask, or you might erase all this and I would pay you your money back. Or I understand what's going on in the misery of everything that's going on, and people want to know the past. But this isn't how you won't be able to get the full Jim Jones tale, because of what you did. I thought they were typical inquiries. It seems like you are trying to get everything up to every point, which won't happen right now, so if you have any queries, I am fine with it. But you can't ask me all these questions, my brother. So if you have something you want to ask, so ask it and get it off your chest. But 2 a.m. not going through this with you, since you do not have enough money to do so. No disrespect, okay? I'm sorry. I mean, I could do more of a typical interview, but I absolutely had meant to question about the camera. Is that okay or not? You're welcome to inquire. You can ask whatever questions you wish. Have you heard? But I'm simply telling you that if you think I'm going, it will not happen during my time with you, my brother. Have you heard? You went all the way back to high school. I respect it. Understand your role as a journalist, but as a journalist, you don't have enough. That will require a coin. Cam and Jim have a history that predates me. Do you get what I am saying? When I first met Cam and Jim, they were quite close. So, I honestly don't know who Jim is. From the Bronx and all that. You understand what I'm saying? When I met them, they were in 5H. Do you get what I mean? This is Jim's apartment. And it's like I suppose that period was after all that. Cam had already spoken to the children of the corn and Jim. Whatever, he said. You understand what I'm saying? So, as I already mentioned, when I arrived, Cam and Jim were really close. Mase wasn't even at the picture. I don't know Mase in that way. You understand what I'm saying? Each time I saw Mase, you understand what I am saying? There is respect there. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Mase and me. You understand? So, as far as when I met Cam, and Jim, they were already Trump tight. You are locked in. Do you get what I am saying? The diplomats already had a name? What am I saying? I don't sit there and say that I made the dip, so that is not what I am doing. What am I saying? And I created a dip set for the two. Yes, I did that. You understand what I'm saying? But today, people have platforms where they can ask people, so it's like it's a fine line. So then you got Jim, as if you couldn't answer, like others say. Even though Jim was not attacked, his name was referenced. You realize what I am saying? So Jim now has the opportunity to respond. That is exactly what happens. You understand what I mean? These podcasts and such. So that opens the door. Jim opted to, you understand what I mean when I say why is on his. That's what that is. Jim decided to carry it. You understand what I'm saying? And then, Cam chose to carry it in the manner he did, and you have what you currently have. You understand what I'm saying? All I can say is that Jim and Cam are really competitive. Do you get what I am saying? They've always been competitive. It came to the point where they had to compete with one another. I was actually looking into podcasts the other day. I was viewing a lot podcasts. I am like, it's ridiculous how all these old stories are getting everybody into so much danger. These are just old stories. Gam said nothing, even though he said a lot. He stated it all. That on Alive he did previously, or pretty much like he. You know what I mean with him and Jim has some words. You are aware that they were not on good terms years ago, so you know it is just fresh to the new listeners, you know what I mean, and the new online fans. And the new individuals. You are aware of these podcasts and are listening to them. So now you know, this is essentially a rerun of something that occurred a few years ago. You understand what I'm saying? This song I'm just like, I did it again. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of, like I said, because I have my own troubles, you know, behind the scenes or whatever the case may be. We all undoubtedly have our own troubles going on behind the scenes with whoever. But you know, Jim's success is what put Cam and Jim at odds. Cam always saw him as the star, and Jim as the captain. Do you understand what I am saying? Right, but it's similar to Sammy the Bull becoming a Mr. John Gotti. You understand what I'm saying? Gotti is probably going to feel a little if Sammy becomes the primary character, you know. What am I saying? In that scenario, that's how it is. Jim started to expand as an artist, and as he began to grow as an artist, he started moving from behind Cam to him. I started standing next to Cam, and then ... It came to a point where he stood Cam's front. MHM was gazing over his shoulder like, yo, what you doing? Then that erected the animosity by the time Bowline hit Jim. I mean, Cam had a gang of hostility. Additionally, there is internal enmity, and I understand since you've seen it. I was present. He was underweight. Jim was the powerhouse. You receive what? So, what am I saying? Jim Izzy is Cam's partner, but he is playing, and take a step back to use the muscle. I felt he was a hater, just like I felt he was supposed to be cheerful. For Jim,